Season 2 Episode 1. After the baby was confirmed dead, Hannah picked up her phone after Faith was revived. Though Faith just sat on the hospital bed, she wasn't saying anything. Hannah called Mr. Balogun and broke the news to him. Mr. Balogun dropped the phone immediately. He heard the news and got destabilized. Not knowing what to do, Mr. Balogun picked up his phone and called his siblings one after the other to break the news to them. Hannah was consoling Faith, persuading her to get up. Faith still wasn't saying anything. Mr. Balogun called Hannah back to ask after Faith and how she was doing. Hannah said, "Brother me, she has refused to say anything. She is not speaking to anyone, even me." Mr. Balogun said to Hannah, "I will be with you in some minutes," and hung up the call. Mr. Balogun left the house unknowingly wearing Faith's dad's old shoe. She had kept it for the remembrance of her dad. When he got to the hospital, he asked a nurse, "Please, where is the lady that brought in a baby about 2 hours ago?" The nurse directed him to the ward where she is. He got the room, and immediately Faith saw him. She cried out loud, "Who did this to me? Was this from God? Who took my baby away from me?" Mr. Balogun couldn't hold back himself from crying. He went to her, and they were both crying profusely. Hannah didn't know when she started crying too. After some time, Hannah regained herself and told Mr. Balogun, "You shouldn't be doing this, brother me. You ought to make her feel good instead of crying. This won't help to fix anything." On hearing this, Mr. Balogun cheered himself up and consoled Faith, saying, "My love, I know this is a big pain in your heart. I know how you feel. I am sorry that you are experiencing this, and I pray God that provided this child will do another one for us." Faith looked into his eyes and hugged him. Her love for him is evident every time she looks at him. They were still talking when Mr. Balogun's siblings came in. They all looked so sad, and they spoke to Faith, assuring her that God knows and sees everything. Faith's family had heard of it too. Mrs. Hannah had called them earlier. When Faith was refusing to say anything, they got to the hospital too, and found Faith relieved but still sad. Faith was taken home by Hannah and Ibrahim and some of Faith's family members. The remaining people stood back to organize the burial of the little baby. They sorted it and buried the baby that same day. When they finished, they all came back together. It was late in the night, so they decided to pass the night at Faith's house. Later that night, after they had a family dinner, they sat together in the parlor to have a short discussion. Mr. Ibrahim noticed that Mrs. Balogun was not in the gathering. He asked, "Why is Mummy Tolu not here? Didn't she hear of what happened?" Mr. Balogun remembered that he didn't call her. He said, "I forgot. I didn't tell her. You were the only people I called. I wasn't in my right frame of mind." Mr. Ibrahim picked up his phone and called Mrs. Balogun and broke the news to her. The meeting ended and they all went to bed. Later at Mrs. Balogun's house, she was worried and was thinking that, could it be the stuff her mom gave her that caused the death of this child? She shouted, "Ah! What have I done? What did Mammy give me?" Tolu, her son, heard her and came out saying, "What did who give you?" In shock she said nothing. Tolu said, "Mammy, I heard you." What has happened? Find out what happened next in episode 2. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
A ver, aló, con ogun o to di o.